At 2:13 in the morning, Olivia Harper was woken up by a knock at her front door. It wasn't loud. It wasn't desperate. Just 3 slow, deliberate taps. At first, she thought she was dreaming. Her husband, Ethan, was supposed to be at work. He worked overnight maintenance at a warehouse across town and wouldn't be back until sunrise. So Olivia got out of bed alone, walked through the dark hallway, and looked through the peephole. And standing on her porch was a girl, barefoot, covered in dirt, and holding something in her hand. Something Olivia recognized immediately, because it belonged to her husband. For 7 years, Olivia believed she was married to one of the safest men she had ever known. Ethan Harper was quiet, predictable, and gentle, the kind of man who fixed things without being asked, remembered anniversaries, and never raised his voice. Neighbors described him as polite but private, and co-workers said he kept to himself. Olivia trusted him completely. But by the time the sun came up that morning, that trust would be gone forever. Because the girl standing outside her house wasn't just lost, she was running from someone. And according to what she said next, that someone was already part of Olivia's life. Olivia and Ethan lived in a quiet suburb with no children, no major fights, and no obvious problems. To outsiders, their life looked simple. But there was one thing Olivia had always found strange about Ethan: he avoided questions. Not aggressively, just quietly. If she asked about his job changes, he brushed it off. If she asked why he never brought co-workers home, he changed the subject. And if she asked about the locked shed in the backyard, he would simply say it was filled with tools. He always had an answer, and he always delivered it calmly. That's what made him believable. He didn't act like someone hiding something. And that's why Olivia ignored every small red flag, until that night. When Olivia opened the door, the girl looked about 17. Her lip was split, her clothes were torn, and her hands were shaking as she held out a silver keychain engraved with the initials EH. Olivia's stomach dropped. Before she could speak, the girl whispered, "Please don't tell him I'm here." Olivia froze. The girl glanced nervously past her into the house and added, "He said no one would believe me because you think he's a good man." Then she collapsed on the porch. Olivia called for help immediately. When police arrived, the girl, who only gave the name Maya, kept repeating one chilling sentence: "He kept me in the room behind the wall." At first, officers thought she was confused or traumatized. But when they asked Olivia where her husband worked and verified it, everything changed. Ethan hadn't worked at that warehouse in over 8 months. Olivia had no idea. Suddenly, nothing made sense. Investigators discovered Ethan had been leaving every night, but not for work. His car had been tracked to isolated areas and abandoned locations. He had been withdrawing small amounts of cash regularly, careful not to draw attention. And then they uncovered something even more disturbing: a second phone registered under a fake name, tied to a remote property. While detectives began tracking Ethan, officers searched the house. Everything seemed normal until they examined a small hallway closet. The back wall sounded hollow. Measurements revealed something impossible: a section of space that didn't match the house layout. When they forced it open, they uncovered a hidden room. It was small, windowless, and soundproof. Inside were basic supplies, old clothes, and tally marks scratched into the wall. And sitting on the floor was a framed photo of Olivia and Ethan on their wedding day. Olivia broke down immediately. It was clear that whoever had been trapped there was meant to know exactly who he was. At the hospital, Maya finally told her story. She had gone missing 3 weeks earlier after leaving a study session. A man had offered her help, and that was the last thing she remembered before waking up in darkness. She described a calm voice, a man who brought her food and spoke softly, sometimes asking strange questions. One night, he dropped his keys. That's how she got the keychain. When he made a mistake leaving the hidden wall unsecured, she escaped. She didn't even know where she was until she saw family photos in the house and realized something terrifying. The man who had kept her there had a wife. By morning, Ethan was gone. His phone was off, his car missing, and police launched a full manhunt. As the investigation deepened, they found evidence suggesting Maya wasn't his only victim. DNA traces, deleted routes, and recordings revealed a man who had carefully practiced appearing normal. Then came the biggest shock. Ethan Harper wasn't his real name. His real identity was Daniel Mercer, a man connected to a similar disappearance years earlier in another state. He had changed his identity, built a new life, and created the perfect cover. A home, a wife, a routine, everything designed to make him seem ordinary. 2 days later, he was found in a motel, calmly watching the news. He didn't resist arrest. He simply said, "She wasn't supposed to get out." That single sentence revealed everything. There was no remorse, only frustration. Olivia never returned to that house. She left, changed her life, and disappeared from public view. Maya survived, but the trauma stayed with her. And as for Ethan, Daniel, investigators are still uncovering the full extent of his crimes. Because in the end, the most disturbing part of this story isn't the hidden room or the fake identity. It's the fact that for 7 years, a woman shared her life with someone she thought she knew, while a monster lived right beside her. And if Maya hadn't found that door that night, Olivia might have never discovered the truth.